All right, so just hours before he is expected to testify at the Nhlanhla Commission of Inquiry, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi seems to have other matters on his mind. He has served forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan with a defamation summons claiming 5 million rand in damages. O'Sullivan has hit back, saying it's a desperate attempt to silence him. ENCA senior reporter Dason Tatia has the papers in front of him, and he's with us to tell me all about it. Thank you for being with us, Dason. So can we just go back? So the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner makes these explosive claims about police corruption.
Yeah.
Including the police minister, including a deputy national commissioner. How does Paul O'Sullivan then come in?
So Paul O'Sullivan has had an interest in policing and what he calls the corruption within the SAPS for a long time. And he has an organization called Forensics for Justice. And that organization, through that organization, he then tries to fight these issues within the SAPS. So when Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi released those statements and when he held that press conference on the 6th of July, the expectation, I suppose, from some would have been that people like Paul O'Sullivan would have then supported that, because Mkhwanazi was alleging that he was then fighting the corruption within the SAPS by naming these people. But that wasn't the reaction that we got from Paul O'Sullivan. In fact, he claimed that Mkhwanazi was not the knight in shining armor that South Africans had broadly seen him to be. He then issued a statement. He was on various media platforms, and he outlined why he believed that Mkhwanazi was not who he says he is, and he listed a number of reasons. And essentially, to summarize it, he was saying that he believed that Mkhwanazi is corrupt and that he was running a hit squad, and a number of other allegations, including what he says is Mkhwanazi's interest in the crime intelligence slush fund. That's the background.
Mkhwanazi approved the unlawful expenditure by Masemola of 35 million rand of public funds on buying luxury cars, and that was in the early part, the first quarter of 2012. Now, if we bring it a little bit further forward, both Mkhwanazi and Masemola joined a police supplier on an overseas trip, and the pair of them came back with, Louis Vuitton. It's a very expensive ladies' handbag. And the pair of them came back with a gift from the police supplier, being a Louis Vuitton handbag. And from what I can gather, neither of them disclosed at customs the fact that they had in their possession a gift worth somewhere between 70 and 100,000 rand each. And then what did they do? They probably gave these bags to their wives. Now, if we take it to the present day, we have Mkhwanazi, the Commissioner of Police for Natal, suddenly calling a press conference, and in that press conference he dishes the Minister of Police, and he makes a lot of allegations in that press conference. And although he only made those allegations at midday today, I've had an opportunity to go through them, and some of them, the ones that I have been able to go through and ascertain, I'm satisfied that they're false allegations, which means Mkhwanazi is on a mission of his own. Well, then the question is he on a mission of his own?
All right.
Or is Masemola part of that mission? Because Masemola is the Commissioner of Police. So the question is, did Mkhwanazi get permission from Masemola to hold a media conference where he slated the Minister of Police and other senior personnel in the police?
All right.
Or did he act on his own? And I think the investigation needs to discover who was behind his press conference today. And it also needs to discover why he was dressed in combat uniform. He's a police official. He's the head of KZN Provincial Police. He's not a task force member. So why was he wearing task force uniform? And why was he having task force members on both sides of him? It's almost like he's challenging who? The government? He's challenging the police. Who is he challenging? And he's sending out all these people around him. If you have a look at the pictures, it's very, very clear. He's surrounded by people with R5 weapons, and they're all wearing masks, so we can't see who they are.
Okay, Paul, I must come in there.
Opinion, it looks dangerously suspicious, and it looks dangerously like he's threatening a coup.
All right. Paul, let's go into you saying you went through, well, this looks, as you say, this is, in a sense, a show of force, is what you're saying in terms of the way the optics are. I beg your pardon, Paul, you can't hear me?
I didn't hear what you said. You just need to speak up a bit.
All right, I'll get the team just to make sure that you've got me in your ear.
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
All right, Paul. I want to go back. You said that even though it's been a few short hours, you managed to go back and look at some of what Mkhwanazi presented to the public today, and you have established that some of those are false allegations. Just enumerate for us, Paul, which ones you say, even just with a quick investigation, do not stand up to scrutiny.
Well, there's a number of them, and I don't think I want to go into them. And the reason why I don't want to go into them is because Mkhwanazi has acted unlawfully. He's put in the public domain details of criminal investigations which are still ongoing, and that's unheard of. What the police should never, ever do is publish the blow-by-blow details of criminal investigations that are still ongoing, because by doing so, they're undermining the criminal justice system. He undermines the judiciary, he undermines the National Prosecuting Authority, and in effect, he gives an opportunity to criminal underworld to get off on crimes that they may or may not have committed before the trial has even begun. And it's just unheard of. So what I'm now doing, in fact, I've sent an email today to Masemola, and I've copied the president, and I've said I'm now calling for a judicial commission of inquiry into what the hell is going on in the police service of this country, because it's completely unacceptable. And the victims of crime out there, and there's many of them, the victims of crime out there are getting cut full of all this criminal activity within the police service, and it has to stop.
I want to go back to the histories here, Paul, and I think it is important, as you say, that this isn't a journey of a few months or just a few years. You know, we're going back at least 13 years to 2012 is what you were sharing with us. And this relationship that you're sharing about between the National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Fani Masemola, and Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in very different roles there that has endured, you would say, until today. It's interesting because the Deputy National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya, has been in the media on our platform as well, dealing with some of the issues that Mkhwanazi raised, and in fact put the issue of the 121 case dockets at the door of the National Police Commissioner, saying that, you know, it was only his to implement the instructions of the National Commissioner. So how much do you believe it is, or how important do you think it is in this moment that the National Police Commissioner, I mean, we've heard in part from the police minister, but that it's important for the National Police Commissioner to be out and vocal on what we heard today?
The National Police Commissioner needs to come out and speak for himself. I can't speak for him. And he's been ominously silent. I put it to him over a week ago, actually 10 days ago, that he had to suspend 5 generals and 2 brigadiers from crime intelligence. And he hasn't come back with an answer on that, other than to say it's an internal matter and it's got nothing to do with the public. It's got everything to do with the public. The public are the victims of crime. The generals in the crime intelligence and in the police service who go around with police bodyguards are not victims of crime. It's the man in the street that's victims of crime, and we're getting fed up with it. So what the police have to do is clean up their act. And it's never going to happen when you've got people standing behind closed doors agreeing what to do and what to say to the media. But Mkhwanazi himself, he needs to come out and explain, where is the Louis Vuitton bag he was given as a gift? Where are the cars that were purchased in 2012 using crime intelligence slush funds? He needs to answer those questions. And he needs to answer the following question as well. Who authorized him to dress up in combat uniform with a dozen men on either side of him in combat gear with masks on to demonstrate that he's a tough guy and he's going to take on the government and dish the government, the judiciary, and the National Prosecuting Authority? That man needs to be held accountable by the people of this country.
Is it unprecedented, Paul? Because I'm not sure if you've seen on social media and so on, pictures being circulated of former National Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi also wearing these similar sort of army fatigues in briefings and things like that. And my understanding was this is, as you say, a special task force combat uniform, giving a briefing on task force activities. So just share with us why this would have been the wrong move to have made, or not his place to have done.
Well, I think that's a question they have to answer. The question is, are you guys planning a military coup? Are you saying that the armed special task force units are going to take over this country? We want to know, because we don't expect to find a divisional commissioner or a police commissioner or a provincial police commissioner dressed in combat uniforms surrounded by combat-dressed people brandishing firearms with masks on. It's completely unacceptable. It's something you might see in South America or other countries, perhaps in North or West or Central Africa. It's not something we expect to see in South Africa.
So you're saying it's more ominous because he did it today in this context, not necessarily that we haven't seen high-ranking police officials wearing combat or task force uniform?
Well, the first thing is he's not a member of the task force. So why? Let him explain. Why is he wearing task force uniform? Why did he have 6 men on either side of him wearing task force uniform with masks on and brandishing firearms? It was a media presentation. So what, was he afraid of the media? What did he think would happen to him at that conference? How much did it cost the taxpayer for him to be standing there? And by the way, he had pretty much the whole of the KZN Provincial Police Service there with him. So they were all there on a Sunday. He calls his impromptu press conference and he lies to the media. And we need to get to the bottom of it. But I can tell you, he's triggered something which may just be the end of his life in the police service.
Just tell us more on that point, Paul. What do you mean?
Well, the reality is he wasn't authorized to do what he did. If Masemola authorized him to do what he did, the two of them can go down together, because I'm calling for a judicial commission of inquiry. I have today written to the minister, and I've asked the minister, without overreaching his executive powers, to arrange for Masemola and Mkhwanazi to be suspended until we can get to the bottom of what their conduct is actually involved in and where it's leading.
There's another piece which has, some connections to it that was raised by the DNC, Sabir, saying in an interview on our channel not too long ago that Mkhwanazi, that he was caught off by Mkhwanazi's accusations against him, saying that the KZN commissioner was angry over the arrest of Crime Intelligence Chief Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo. I know that you have some interest in the Khumalo matter as well. Just talk to us about what you think of that statement from the DNC.
Well, I can't second guess what's going on inside the head of a criminal like Mkhwanazi. But the reality of the situation is he's overstepped his mark. It's not the job of a provincial commissioner to start accusing the government, the judiciary, the National Prosecuting Authority, and the Minister of Police, for that matter, of being criminals. And that's what he did today. And I want to see that man fall, and the sooner the better.
Paul O'Sullivan, thanks for